Please meet Dr. Darnisa Amante-Jackson, a transformational leader, educator, and visionary committed to cultural change and sustainable impact. As president and co-founder of Deep, she partners with nonprofits and mission-driven organizations to lead equity-centered transformation and strengthen organizational culture. She also serves as a lecturer at Harvard Graduate School of Education. Equity warriors, without further ado, please welcome to our virtual stage Dr. Darnisa Amante-Jackson.
Good afternoon, everyone. I mean, what can I say? What can I say? Buckle up, grab a pen, grab a notepad, grab your otters, okay? I don't personally mind, but this is the presentation I've been waiting to give to the community who is ready to receive it. Okay, I love a good call and response. Hello, community. All right. And so as I get ready to dive in and we can pull those slides up, I've really been sitting with this burning question about what does it really take when an equity warrior, someone who's committed to revolutions, someone who's committed to system change, actually pauses and asks this powerful question, right? How do I change systems, get people to move along the way with me without doing harm? A lot of this current context that we're viewing right now is coming from the fact that people have maybe felt like the change was too urgent, not that it wasn't needed. And the first big quotable that I want to give to us is that urgency in absence of competency is harm. And even really great intentioned revolutionaries who can see Zion and equitable Shangri-Las can actually do harm when people are not yet ready and you don't know how they will resist. Next slide. So I offer us this. May we be the leaders who repair what is broken without breaking one another. This is a session about how to actually equitably change community, use all these great tools that we have without hurting people along the way for the Shangri-La we see in the future where we're not supposed to be hurt, right? Next slide. And there's a way to do it, but this is the question that I offer to us. You cannot, as shepherds, abandon the flock. And there's kind of three different ways that a shepherd shows up, right? You have a front shepherd. That's the person who can see the mountain. You see the change. You've got the logic model. You've got the scape. You've got the whole professional development. But you know, front shepherds often don't turn around. They just assume you follow. Then you have your middle shepherds. A middle shepherd sits in the flock. You're checking in on the people.
Hey, folks, hey, it's your girl.
Got some audio in the background, but I'll keep going, right? You're trying to understand what the flock needs and what they actually need to support them to get to that Zion. And then you've got your rear shepherd. You're the one making sure that the people who don't know if they're ready yet actually go forward. And a lot of us have been taught to be front shepherds. We don't turn around. We don't care whether people are ready or not. We want the change. But I tell you, there's something really important about a middle shepherd. You actually have to understand what's going on in the flock in order to get them to move. And sometimes it has nothing to do with the fact that they're afraid of equity. They're not actually afraid of equity. They're afraid of what that equitable ask is calling them to give up. Next slide. You see, here's the thing about the flock. At the end of the day, people really want to make sure, I'm just going to, next slide. Okay, right? At the end of the day, disruption is the changing of a system. But you know, when you change something, people don't fear change. They fear loss. Equity is a word that makes people worried. It challenges their identity. They get sort of caught up on whether you think they're a good person or not. And if a practitioner isn't careful, you could fracture the flock before you ever get to the big goal. Next slide. What I want to focus us in on first is I want you to see what I call the water. That's the system that we're all swimming in, that creates that fear, that creates that loss, and it creates beliefs. You see, inequity and oppression is fueled by a belief system that influences people, not necessarily people being good or bad people. And because people are shaped by these systems, the minute you change it, you get rid of the inequity, people get scared. You know why? Oppression is predictable, isn't it? Don't we know who's most likely to be on the other side of that achievement gap? Don't we know who's most likely to not be successful? Don't we know based off of hair, thanks to the panel earlier, about who's most likely to not be seen as professional? We do. You know why people love inequity? Because you know exactly what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and how it's going to happen. When this whole conference room reaches Zion, there will not be predictability. You know, equity is defined as the absence of predictability, and it terrifies people. Next slide. There are four big things that people are feeling all the time. These are the four I's. And I'm going to tell us a little story about them, because these are the things that are influencing how you show up, how your people that you work with show up, how teams and schools show up. And I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. All right. So you're going to hear it. You're going to hear it in this story. You'll probably hear it already because I say off. You're welcome. I don't know. I don't know. It's something about that aw sound. I need it to come out. Right. But there's this fox who loves fish. He goes down to a pond every single day to ask these fish an important question about what it means to be a fish. The first day he goes down to the pond, he shouts out, "Hey, yo, fish!" And the fish pop their heads out of the water. And they say, "What up, fox?" This story is also set in 1994. You're also welcome, okay? This is 1994 verbiage, but we need it, right? "What up, fox?" And this time Fox says, "How are the rocks?" And the fish say, "Well, the rocks are fine. We don't really have a purpose for them, but we like them." The next day, Fox goes back, "Hey, fish, how's the sun?" And this time, the fish say, "Well, the sun is nice. It puts algae on the pond. It helps us eat. We need it." Fox writes this down. But you know, he keeps asking over and over and over again until one day he realizes, I haven't asked these fish the most important question. So he runs back down. "Hey, fish, how's the water? How's the water?" And the fish pop their heads out of the water and they say, "What's water, Fox?" That. You see, in this story, you, I, we are the fish. And ideology is the water. You don't even know it's there. And see, some of us have urgency on us, and you want to know, how come you can't see it? How could you do nothing and look at it every day? And I'm trying to tell you, they do not yet see the thing that they're in. It's not inexcusable. It doesn't make it okay, but it introduces a very powerful word to this community today. What about grace? See, grace isn't "I forgive you." Grace is "I understand that you are swimming in a water that you don't yet see, but I can see it." But you know, nobody's hands are clean here. There are certain waters that even I myself can't see. And that's how I hold myself accountable as a practitioner who leads flocks. I am not perfect, and I too am the water, even though I'm trying to disrupt it. So ideology is the meaning-making system. This is what you see on television. This is what you see on TV. This is what tells you who's beautiful, who's not, who's smart, who's not. What does smart look like? Where do successful people live? Institutional, if you just kind of go over, is how ideology reifies itself. You see, it digs down into the foundation and it has to make itself law. So institutional oppression is how do beliefs, whether they be good or non-good beliefs, get codified. Everything at the top, right? Ideology and institutional is systemic oppression. This is the stuff that is often invisible, that is trying to control you. But what's at the bottom? The bottom is you. It's me. It's us. You see, we blame people for things that systems create. Internalized oppression is how you have swallowed the water. Where my science folks at? Charity, I know you on the math brigade, but I feel a whole STEM system, okay? How much of the human body is made up of water? 75%. Spot on. 75% of us is made up of a thing that we can't see. You see, internalized oppression is how much of the water you swallowed, how much you believe, even if you don't know you believe it. Interpersonal oppression is this. Interpersonal oppression is what you see on TV. That's people to people. That's what happens when people who could be very good people say something that takes another person to their studs. We would rather blame people for how their beliefs manifest than get angry at ideology and institutional oppression that actually created those conditions. Just let that sit. I want you to be softer on people and harder on systems. Next slide. But there's a way in. You can't just shout, I want to bring the system down. Next slide. You can't just shout. Hold on, y'all. Thank you. Like, you can't just shout that I want to bring the system down, but not actually take time to think about that you are moving through a chain. You have to start with, what do we believe and how do people believe it? What do those beliefs look like in practices? How have those practices themselves created a system? And then how has that system impacted people? A lot of times, don't we go in reverse? We start with the people to define the system. No, the water is defining us. But you can shift water. But there are reasons why it gets stuck along the way. The first one, nope, you can go right, you were right on time, right? The first thing that people experience when you try to bring a system of oppression down is they feel threat. Okay, you've changed something. Remember, equity is the absence of predictability. So the threat is, I now no longer know what's going to happen to you, and I no longer know what's going to happen to me. What's that called? Equality. You know, equality can only happen when equity happens. But in order to achieve equality, you have to be willing to give something up. It doesn't mean everybody gets exactly the same thing. The next one is people go into binaries, right? You're saying I'm bad, you're saying you're good, and now I feel like we're at odds. People stop asking questions and they start getting defensive. Why are you talking to me like that? Why are you telling me that I'm fragile? Why are you saying that I have to look and have a reflective lens to check on my bias? You see, they're not fighting you, even though it feels personal. They're fighting the loss that you've introduced. Next slide. Loss looks 5 ways. We can go one forward. When you get this deck, that's just the more detailed version of what I offered. But the 5 ways that loss feels is status, certainty, autonomy, belonging, and fairness. When you say you are doing equity, you are actually triggering people's nervous system. A lot of us in here lead social, emotional, professional developments, but it may feel very tough to use a social, emotional practice as experts, because you want people to get it. And I know this is a great room, but if you ignore that people are actually having a nervous reaction the moment you say equity, you can fracture the room. But let's look at this quote. If you design for that loss, transformation holds. Next slide. Here's what that loss looks like. And on the next slide, yep, it just pulled up perfectly. Here we go. These are called scarf threats, just like the scarf that goes around your neck. If you remember no other thing I say outside of be softer on people and harder on systems, please know that the minute you try to change a system, one of these 5 things are going to pop up. And as a practitioner, your radical empathy, your grace, and your care comes with your ability to respond to the nervous system. Thank you, Charity. It's being all remembered, okay? So we'll go through these status threats, And I'm going to leave us with the protocol because I want you to have a tool, but I'm also going to frame to you your ability to hear these threats is also a tool. The first one is status threat. Now, most people have two, and you as a change agent have two as well. Okay, so this is not just other people. This is also for you. Status threat is when people automatically become nervous that you're going to fire them. You're going to blame them. You're going to shame them. Here's how it sounds. So everybody, we're doing an equity PD today, but is this PD evaluative? Or is it anonymous? Is anybody going to be checking? If you do monitoring, are you going to write me up? Am I going to lose my job? I don't want anybody to think I'm racist. I don't want anybody to think I'm sexist. Insert any ism you could imagine. And I know what you're saying, Darnisa, they're not rational. You see, scarf threats aren't rational, but it's rational to them. Whether you think it's valid or not, it's valid to them. And the step is you have to counter communicate. You actually have to say the opposite of what people are afraid of. So if I have status threat, you have to start with, we're doing a professional development today, but I just want you to know everything's going to be anonymous. This is non-evaluative. We have norms to prevent you from being blamed. No one is going to be shamed. And if you don't want to participate, you have the option not to. You see what I've done? I am validating a perspective that even if I don't think it's valid, it needs to be heard in order for this person to regulate themselves enough to reach Zion with you. Certainty threat are people who get paralyzed if you don't give them details. Okay? We're doing an equity PD today. Okay, so is there a book? Is there an Excel spreadsheet? Can I use different colors? Is it color coded? Are there any tabs? When do you want me to do this? How do you want me to do this? By when should I do this? Am I doing this in a collaborative team or am I doing it by myself? Do we have to do this by mid-year? Is this going to go into our HQIM? You hear it, right? You may not need those details, and they're not trying to undermine you. A lot of people with certainty threat have status threat. They're asking you for the next move because they don't want to make a mistake. Adults are nothing more than little kids grown up, right? And a lot of us are afraid to tell you that we don't know. A lot of us are afraid to tell you that we just want a hug, that we're scared, and that we thought we knew who we were going to be when we grew up, and then the whole world changed, and now you're changing it on me again. And at my job, you see it. Autonomy threat are people who need to know about collaboration. So we're doing an equity PD. Okay, did you have a committee come together to help you come up with the topics? Autonomy people look like they're trying to steal the power from you. They're not. They're the people who say, do not do inclusion exclusively, right? Don't call me to equity when you don't really want my voice or perspective. Autonomy people need to know how you have curated perspectives from other people to inform what you're doing. They don't think you're an authoritarian, but they want to make sure that you're checking on diversity as you're teaching them about diversity. Don't call me to the thing that you're not doing. Relatedness threat are the kids in middle school. Okay, those are the kids on the wall. In a middle school dance, you got to go pull the kids off the wall to come dance with each other. Yeah, relatedness threat people don't know where they fit. And it's not their fault. And they say, well, I've never thought about race. I've never thought about an ism. I don't think about people like that. I just think about humans. They really want you to tell them how they fit in your vision. What should they do? Why do you need them? And then fairness threat people always checking on the clock. They want to know, like, how long is this? When do you expect me to implement these skills? Who's going to help me do it? Are you going to pay me to do it? Fairness threat people need you to tell them that something has come off the table in order for them to do the work that you want them to do. So status counter communication is you actually have to tell them you're not going to blame them and shame them. Certainty people need one next move. Just tell them one concrete thing and then tell them when you're going to provide the rest. Autonomy folks need to hear how you've incorporated perspectives to define where you go. Relatedness threat people just feel lost and they want to be found and they need you to tell them how they fit. And fairness people just will give you what you want, but don't ask them to do the sun, moon, stars, galaxy, Milky Way, and the Andromeda all at the same time. Next slide. Outside of those scarf threats, I also want to offer a protocol for everyone that can help you take a second to step back and think about the way in which you move a flock forward. Whether you're a front shepherd, a middle shepherd, or a rear shepherd, the very first step is do not step into a conversation with people if you don't know what your intention is. Release the need to prove to them that oppression is real. You know it's real. Don't do too much trying to overprove that. The next one is you want to acknowledge the fear that they have, even if it's not rational to you. And I know a lot of us in this room today are people of color, right? So we've had to do the dance without anybody holding our hands. I know some of you in here, Darnisa, I'm tired. I'm tired of coddling people to their growth. Acknowledging that they are afraid is not coddling, it's care. And people just need to know that you know. The next one is you got to speak from a perspective of values. Because you can always find alignment with people across values, even if we don't agree on anything else. And then this next one, accept and expect non-closure. Sometimes the hardest conversations with teams or people take multiple conversations. And some of us in here got a closure thing, right? If you don't close it the first time, you don't feel like you're successful. But I'll ask you this, how long did it take to build the Colosseum? The Colosseum and the pyramids, for example, took multiple generations, but they were intentionally built, right? You don't get to Zion in one generation, but you lay powerful stones to continuously get there, even if we're not the generation to end oppression. And to earlier panelists' points, you know you could be on your way to Zion and still have joy. I have joy even though I live in an oppressive system because I've intentioned myself to have joy. And I know that I will wait. And the work that I'm doing may be prime for future generations, but I'm not going to do something for the future that I can't have for myself right now. But some of us in this room want to be the generations. We want to be the ones to end it. It didn't start in a day, and it won't end in one. Next slide. And with that in mind, I'm going to put up some information for us. Okay. I know it was 20 minutes already, but here's what I would love for you to do. I'm about to release a book. Okay. And the book is a lot about this, but it's a choose your own adventure to humanity. You get to choose a pathway. So if you want to hear more about that book, about the work that I'm doing, how to shepherd people from different places in the flock, I'm excited to connect with you. You can find me on my website, which talks about all of my companies and the work that we do, or you can just come and look for me and talk to me and have a debrief with Dr. D. Charity, I'm gonna get the book in hand. Okay, we gotta make sure I got time. It's in process of being written, but I need y'all to put all good prayers on it, because what better a time than now to choose your own adventure to humanity that allows you to be whole and dignified without exhausted and worn out. There's been too much harm on brown bodies already, and I'm trying to contribute to work that allows us to have joy even as we continue to reach Zion. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your thoughts. It was such an honor, and I cannot wait to connect with some of you offline in the debriefs with Dr. D.